Just a quick test. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Because that was sometimes a bit difficult when you changed the rooms and suddenly the audio was gone. But that's the standard question nowadays. Can you hear me? And you're muted. So from where are you joining us? From Nairobi?
Nairobi.
Brilliant. Everything over there?
As far as it goes in these days, I think it's quite okay here.
Yeah. And you're probably not coming. Are you from Germany as well? Yeah.
Yes.
So you're not flying home for Christmas, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
It's anyway better weather over here, and the corona situation is better. So.
I just wanted to say maybe it's not the place to be anyway. Today is I'm joining from Munich. Today is rainy and it's even warm for Christmas, so not even the cold winter vibes.
Yeah, we watched Tagesschau and they were saying 17 degrees in Germany, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, do I have to do anything with the moderation panel? I see we have the first guest coming in. I don't know if they can hear me already. Brilliant. Thank you, Natalie. Welcome to the session. We are going to wait a little bit longer. Karnika is here to join us. Welcome, Karnika.
Thanks, Luise.
Okay, we're just solving some technical issues. Okay, maybe we should just get started. Otherwise, the time is running out before we actually could start. I'm not sure if we have everyone who we need on the panel yet. Maybe my backup team can give me a quick go. Hi, Alfy. That's great. Very good, thank you. Hey, we're almost
Yeah, I'm in some remote part of the country trying to access the internet. So yeah, I'm good to go. Internet quality isn't that good yet.
But we can see you well. Just for all the speakers, could you please take care a bit of that you're muted when you're not speaking, because you cannot control that from the panel. Welcome, Hans.
Just want to tell you, we are all here. We wish you good luck for the panel, and I go out and listen to you, okay? And just want to be sure, with me, the whole track is coming to your session.
Okay.
Curious to listen to you.
Thanks. And I see you later.
Yeah, pleasure.
Okay, so we are, I don't know if you had the time to watch Christina's session. So thank you, Christina, for this really interesting talk. please, all the audience, make sure that you visit our website on yunusenvironmenthub.com for the exciting launch of our Start Now program. So this is is launched today, and we're excited to get a lot of participants on this huge online platform for social business entrepreneurs. So a quick intro to myself. I'm Luise. I'm the Operations and Program Director at Yunus Environment Hub. I am involved in most of our projects in East Africa and mainly in waste management and recycling. I've got the great honor to, hi Nzambi, good to see you that you're there. So I've got the honor to moderate and facilitate this great session with so many inspiring and super expert panelists. And we hope to give our audience some, Nzambi, would you mind to mute? Because we cannot mute you from the directors panel. Thank you. We hope to give our audience some great insights into the social business as a solution for waste management and plastic recycling problems. So we have a short, not even an hour anymore, so it's quite packed. So just as a quick agenda, we will quickly introduce our speakers, and I will ask some questions for the specific projects that our speakers are active in. Later, we will have some group questions where I hope everyone wants to share his and her viewpoint on it. And in the end, we're going to have some Q&A. So that is to our audience that is joining from all over the world, as I can see. Please make sure that you enter your questions to the chat, and if necessary, please direct it to your panelists that you want to address it to. So thanks to the backup team, they will filter the questions, and hopefully, yeah, we can have this really engaging and insightful conversation. So quickly, maybe I don't need to go too deep into what we are doing at Yunus Environment Hub. We are developing and implementing social business solutions to tackle environment problems. That is our mission. One of the main topics we are focusing on is circular economy, and especially waste management and plastic recycling. And yeah, we see the tremendous potential of social business solutions to solve the biggest problems that we're facing. So let me start with my first guest. That is Nele from UN Habitat. Quickly, I need to say this. So we are collaborating with UN Habitat on our Zero Plastic Waste Cities program in Kenya and Ethiopia. So Nele is joining today from Kenya. We are improving municipal solid waste management in those projects, and together we're working on establishing social businesses that increase collection and recycling rates of plastic waste, especially in low-income areas. And yeah, welcome, Nele. We have tested your audio already. So would you just tell us a little bit about why has UN Habitat chosen to collaborate with Yunus Environment Hub, and why do you see social businesses as an important solution to the waste sector?
Hello, Louise. Thank you for the introduction, and hello, everyone, for joining. Coming to your question, I think we actually had a twofold approach how we got introduced to Yunus Environmental Hub, and I think that's the common link and also a bit the idea behind it. So on the one side, we have a common partner we are both working with, which is the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. And on the other side, we are both, as you heard in Christina's presentation, we are both developing online courses on different topics, where we are actually working on an online course for a tool, the Waste Cities tool, which is looking at the assessment of data. But nevertheless, on this work, we also got in contact with Yunus Environmental Hub, and we are actually forming also a partnership in this area, additionally to the projects we are going to be working on, or the project we are going to be working on in Kenya. So this is kind of a bit the background of this collaboration, I would say. And why we see social business is, on the one side, I think at UN Habitat, I mean, we are a United Nations agency. Usually, especially at Habitat, we are working with local governments, which we also still are doing as part of these projects, which is very important to keep everyone on board. However, local governments cannot or often don't have the capacity to do everything themselves or to tackle the problems at hand. And there is a great opportunity to tap in for businesses, especially in Eastern Africa and in Kenya, for example, where already a lot of business is happening in the waste management sector. And I think social business could be like a good opportunity to bring this, like to formalize this, to make it also more visible and to improve income of those people working in these areas.
Totally true, yeah. And I guess one of the most effective ways for us to collaborate on those things. Do you have any special thoughts as well? What are the special challenges in the urban areas where we are now active on those projects that are specific, especially in bigger cities like Nairobi?
Alfy can probably comment on that better than I can, as he has more the day-to-day business. I think what we see at UN Habitat is the stakeholder engagement. I mean, often a lot of activities are happening from different actors, but very often they don't talk to each other and they also don't coordinate their work. So, for example, the county like like the local government has, or the national government has new regulations in place or wants to enforce them, but then they may lack or don't have the capacity to work with the people who are already working in these and to align the work, as well as the other way around, that people on the ground don't often get the contact to local governments. And I think that's often, I mean, one of the challenges that is happening out there, which is, well, specific probably to many parts, not only necessarily here. Of course, otherwise it's the lack of, otherwise challenges to waste management in general in urban areas are the common, like everything I guess probably everyone knows. The unplanned growth of urban areas, that is making it difficult to deliver urban basic services, including waste management, but also others. Like how the settlements are built, but also maybe common structures which are already in place and make it like sometimes are hard driven and make it sometimes hard to go also for innovative ways. I think that's maybe what I would say.
Thank you. And you almost started with my transition before I started with it. So that leads us to our next guest, Alfy. Alfy joins us from Kibra Green. This is a community-based organization in the Kibra neighborhood in Nairobi. Alfy, I think we can hear you, so that is already positive. Just a quick intro from my side. So the organization is about garbage collection, and you face one specific problem, that is the collection and the dumping is not really well coordinated. And this is where we actually started to join forces and hope to improve things. So introduce yourself, please, and let us tell us a bit more about the project that we're doing together and what is needed most and what is probably making your projects a bigger success.
Thank you very much, guys. My name, as you told earlier, I'm Alfy Ayoro. I'm a community mobilizer. I call myself a social and also community. So I work with different youth groups, but in this case, I work with Kibra Green. Kibra Green is a community-based organization. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Yeah. Kibra Green is a community-based organization Kibra Green is a community-based organization that is really keen on localizing of the implementation of sustainable development goal, and sustainable development goals like number 13, and that talks of life on land and also life underwater. And we realize that solid waste is a big menace in this 21st century, and a lot has been done. though it's not enough. And that's why we said one of the major things that we'll be pursuing as a community-based organization that is youth-oriented with the is how best can we mitigate our environmental challenges and how best can we handle solid waste. And we realize that among the solid waste, yes, we have organic waste, we have plastic waste, we have metal waste, we have electronic waste, but plastic is a major challenge in the informal settlement. It used to be the single-use plastic like polythene, but now the PTs have really become a very big problem. So us as young people, plus other also community-based organizations, we really put a lot of effort in, mobilizing the community, mobilizing everybody. But the government was not that supportive. No any other group was that supportive. So the momentum came down by down because the donkey work you do, whatever you get is not commensurate to the effort you put. So the young people, you know, you can organize, you can mobilize the young people, but organizing them in terms of making sure that you produce something that is beneficial to all is not easy. That's why young people started losing interest in this solid waste narrative, because it was a big issue like three years ago, 2-3 years ago, but now it's everywhere, but it's no longer a big issue simply because the components of this solid waste like plastic, whatever they get out of this donkey work they do is not commensurate to the effort. Nobody is supporting them. You see, the support they get is probably from maybe well-wishers, but the government is not that engaging. For example, the county government, I think, I can give hands to the metropolitan services, the newly created metropolitan service, which is 1 year old. They seems to be quite engaging, but there's something funny about the engagement in terms of solid waste. You mobilize young people, tell them to sweep here. You should start by training them. This is solid waste. These are the components of solid waste. This solid waste, this is plastic, and this plastic, we can create a living out of it. Let's bargain for the market for you so that whatever you make, you can sell, you get money out of it. But they're just telling us, sweep the streets, put everything on. That is not helping. That is not engaging young person meaningfully. So I'm really passionate about this solid waste narrative when it comes to plastic, and I think a lot can be done. But yes, young people, we have immense energy. We are willing to do more, but lack of engagement and probably training in regards to the entire solid waste narrative. I'm very happy that we want to do something with the UN Habitat in terms of piloting project on solid waste, on how we can get it. I mean, we can create a circular economy out of it. That is very good. And during the same time, I also realized that the solid waste narrative is coming up because even Safaricom approached us that they want to do a project with us on e-waste, and they want to create a circular economy on e-waste. Now I'm happy that UN Habitat want to do with the plastic, Safaricom want to do with the e-waste. Another organization will come on board, they want only organic. So if these organizations, they start, but I'm happy that the Safaricom came with the first step, which we suggested, we must be trained on this e-waste thing. I'm happy that we started this first and the second training, and more are coming next year. So UN Habitat is also, they want to engage the youth. They should listen to what we are telling them. They should not come with a preconceived idea that we have the solution for these people. This is the, no, we sit down, we develop solutions together and craft the best way we can craft a circular economy in terms of the entire thing. And we cannot just say we are coming with plastic, because solid waste is something a whole. Plastic is just a component. There's no way you'll get a plastic without getting an organic. So it's also important about, when we are advancing the narrative of plastic, we should know that this plastic never comes alone. It comes with other components, because when you are getting this plastic, you are also getting fabrics, you're also getting scrap metal, you also get, even if the quantity is not that. But a lot has been said about plastic, yes. But if you go to the streets, I think, I wish Francisca was in this platform. She would have shown you some of the pictures I sent her just like a week ago. Plastic still forms a big percentage of the open dumps. If at all we really want to do this, I think we need to be very, very serious. And I think every effort that is being injected in this thing, young people have 70% of the necessary energy needed to do that. But if you engage them, you don't engage them meaningfully, the narrative will come year in, out, oh, solid waste, oh, plastic narrative. But our environment will continue degrading, life on land, life on water. So these are conversations we should take a step ahead by doing what is necessary.
That is really interesting. And I think one of the most important points here is creating those opportunities and not coming from the outside, but giving you the tools and giving the young people the tools to create also a perspective for themselves. That brings us straight to our next guest, who is actively working on the course and who managed to create a business and create such an opportunity. Welcome, Nzambi. Nzambi Matee is the founder of Gjenge. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And Gjenge Makers is a social business turning plastic waste into affordable building materials. And Nzambi, you are also awarded one of the 2020 Young Champions of the Earth by the UN Environment Programme. Congratulations. This is really a great achievement. And yeah, would you like to share a little bit about your journey as a social business entrepreneur and what you're doing and why you engage in what you are doing?
Thanks so much, Luise. As you heard, my name is Nzambi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
My name is Nzambi Matee. I'm the founder of Gjenge Makers Limited. Gjenge Makers is an alternative building product manufacturing company. Our first product line are pavers, which are used in driveways, footpaths, and garages, and they are made predominantly or plastic is a component within the product structure. We started the project in 2017, late 2017. At the first, in the beginning, we started with, as Alfy said, community mobilization, sorting, collecting plastic waste, sorting, and selling to recycling companies, because our goal was we wanted to use a social enterprise as a driving force to maintain sustainability within the plastic circular economy. And so we started the collection of plastic waste, sorting, and then selling to other recycling companies. But then we realized we were collecting more than we were selling. And so that necessitated a next step of what do we do with the plastic that is left with us. And so that's when in 2018 we started research and development to develop a product, which is now the pavers. Made out of plastic waste, and then in 2019 we did also research and development in terms of the production line. And yes, 2020 was officially our first year in market with the product. And we were also, as you mentioned earlier, we were honored with receiving the award of a young champion of the Earth 2020, which is a huge honor from the United Nations Environment Programme. And for us is a huge step for us in terms of taking us to the next level, where we are looking to diversify our product portfolio in terms of not just having pavers, but also other aspects in the building space. And the reason why we want to focus in the building space is because it's a basic need. We are driven by our enterprise and our goal as a team, as a Gjenge team, is we are driven by a solution has to be practical, it has to be affordable, and it has to be very simple. And it doesn't get any simpler than a basic need, which is a housing. And so that's it.
Brilliant. Thank you. And very concise information for us here. Maybe relating to one of Alfy's point earlier to the young generation, do you have experience, or can you tell us how you motivate young people maybe to join your organization, to support you in the collection, but also, I guess, you have some engineering brain power behind to develop new products and also to develop the business for the future?
Yeah, as Alfy stated, and I can feel the frustration in his voice when he's explaining, especially as far as the roles of different stakeholders that are lagging behind, in this case, the government being one of those stakeholders. With that said and done, really huge component, and on the other end of the spectrum, youth unemployment is also a huge challenge, just as much as plastic waste pollution is a challenge in the context of Kenya. And so, with that said and done, we started for us. We started as both out of that the frustration of we were not just having it enough by just sitting in the sidelines and just complaining. We just dived into the problem, and so that has been a huge maintain like a motivation and the sustainability of the core value for us as a business, because it is all we thought as a group was, how can we solve this problem, no matter how much small it is, but how do we solve the plastic problem? Coupled with our skill in engineering, my background is materials engineering, and in my team we have about 4 other engineers, 1 in civil and 2 in mechanical, and now we are bringing on board different electrical engineers. So with this expertise, then it took us to the next step of, okay, how do we at the same time provide a solution for plastic waste pollution using the expertise we have in the engineering space, putting into consideration at that point in time we were unemployed youth. And then the third portion is making a solution that can be used by everyday Kenyan. And so I think with that kind of thinking, this is what came out of it, if I may say so.
Wow, very impressive. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, coming from that innovation keyword, I would like to hand over to our next guest. Karnika is associate partner at Intellecap, and Karnika, you have been working with many entrepreneurs in the waste sector and also in East Africa. You are supporting funders and entrepreneurs to scale their business across Asia and Africa. So welcome to the session. And yeah, tell us, why do you think we need scale in social business solutions to end the plastic waste problem in our environment?
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Luise. Pleasure to be participating here in this panel today. So coming to your question in terms of why do we need scale in terms of social businesses, but a few answers there. The scale is required because particularly these social entrepreneurs, they have the solutions and a lot of time. The idea is very innovative, but then they are not able to scale their solutions, and then the impact of that idea or the innovation could not be seen on the grounds there. So, I recently read about this, that like a lot of entrepreneurs in Africa, it's not much of a startup problem, but it is a scale-up problem. Like the entrepreneurs are able to come up with innovative solutions. They are very, very passionate about their idea. They are great, but because of challenges such as access to finance, access to market, they are not able to scale up their solutions. So definitely there is a need to scale up the solutions so that ultimately the impact can be felt on the ground, and as well as the achievement of the SDGs can be achieved. So that's one aspect of looking in the SDGs in terms of the waste management and the plastics and all. But the second aspect is also because these entrepreneurs then become from job seekers to job creators. So once they are able to scale their businesses, they are able to create jobs for many others that are looking for jobs in the region and are able to solve the challenges of the job youth unemployment, which is a very, very major challenge in East Africa and across Africa as of now. Every year there are more than, even if you take an example of East Africa, every year there are more than 1 million youth which are entering the workforce, but then there are not enough jobs to absorb that workforce into the jobs. So if these startups and social businesses are able to scale their businesses, they will be able to absorb much more youth into the businesses and create a meaningful livelihoods and lives for these youth, the young people that are entering into the workforce, and give them a purpose of life. So just to summarize, so basically, yes, those I see are the critical reasons that the scaling is required, creating an impact, tangible impact on the ground, and creating jobs for the other youth that are entering the workforce.
Great. Thank you so much. My phone was ringing at the same time, sorry. That is very interesting that basically, yeah, scaling the business means also scaling the impact. Nzambi, you probably know about that, and also how difficult it is to come from this idea stage to now like operating and trying to scale it on a, to the next level. Just to be a bit more concrete or hearing your thoughts on that, where do you think, is it the money that is missing? Is it the manpower? Maybe that's a question for both of you, Nzambi and Karnika. Or is it something else?
So I think it's a bit of everything, because this is not to be a whine or anything, but the dynamics really vary from the stage you are in as a business. Because in the beginning stages, speaking as Gjenge, stages, our challenge was starting to just develop the product. We just had an idea, but we needed to develop an actual product that we can test in the market, like an MVP. And so that needed finance. And so we got the first aspect of finance. And now we're now looking to expand that market. And in partnership with Intellecap, we are now looking to see how do we expand that, not just focused in Nairobi, but in the other major cities in Kenya, just to start with. At the same time, in the same breath, then that poses another challenge of, okay, do you have the capacity to process and to produce enough product that you can capture those markets? That's another technical aspect. And then you have the aspect of, okay, now how do you work around the logistics to get the raw materials, in this case, the plastic waste? And so I think in the beginning stages, and as Karnika had said earlier, the challenge is not as much as a startup challenge, but a scale-up challenge. And scaling up, it needs strategic partners from almost all sectors. And for me, as a summary, will be having the likes of Intellecap doing the aspect, playing the role of finance in the financing aspect. We need to have the government play its role in terms of legislation, bringing proper legislations to support SMEs and micro enterprises. We need to have also the aspect of academia or other educational facilities to come with the research and development, because putting into consideration, you have to almost innovate a lot in this space because you don't have much to refer to. Research and development is very key. And I think that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. Very insightful. Karnika, do you want to add something to that?
Definitely, Luise. So, since I guess a lot of the people or the stakeholders that are working in the social business, social enterprise space, for them, access to market, access to finance is always.
I only hear the moderator. I don't know what's the problem.
Okay, can you hear me, Luise?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, let me continue then. So I was saying, so access to market and access to finance are some of the key challenges.
Let me send Johannes to help you. Maybe you clicked on mute others. Maybe, I have no idea. On the phone, maybe it might be different to the computer. I'm sure Johannes is going to able to help you. Karnika, you can continue.
Yeah, kindly, yes.
Okay, sure, no worries. Yeah, so as I was saying, just repeating, so yeah, access to market and access to finance has been considered some of the key challenges, but working in the space for about last 8 to 9 years, I'll say access to information is also one of the biggest challenge for the social businesses and the social enterprises. A lot of times they don't know how to right players that can provide them that sort of a support. Be the support in terms of the intermediaries or the incubators or the accelerators that they can provide the capacity building support to them, or even the investors that they can raise the capital from them. So access to information, and particularly the access to information for the enterprises that are not in tier 1 cities, so the ones that are not in Nairobi, not in Kampala, or not in Addis. That's again become a very, very critical challenge, because they don't know how to seek that information, how to seek that support, and where is that support available. So that results in the concentration of the support primarily in the major cities. And while there are a lot of innovative solutions that are coming beyond the major cities in all these countries as well. Solutions for this, reducing this asymmetry of information and providing more and more access to information, along with access to finance and access to market, is critical again for scaling up and the growth.
Thank you. Yeah, really, very interesting. Did someone else, Nele, did you want to add something to that? Are there any activities that you and Habitat is specifically focusing on, having first successes in also helping to scale businesses, or also scaling to different regions, more into the rural areas maybe?
This is the first time I think that we are actively involved in trying to, or that we are gonna be actively involved in trying to set up businesses, as this is a new area of work for us as well. I mean, what we've been doing in the past is getting involved, for example, with youth, and I think Alfy also was part of that. So part of what we've done is creating, for example, so-called one-stop youth centers where youth can come, and each one of those, and they are also all over East Africa. And also, for example, in Nairobi, and each of those have employment opportunities. So, for example, one of them, which is in Matee, in Nairobi, a settlement in Nairobi, is focusing also on waste management, and it has it's kind of like they're involved in collecting and processing the collected part of the collected waste into new products. And things like that. So I think this is some areas where we have been involved, but only on a like smaller scale, and those have been partly successful. I think there are always ups and downs, of course, to that. Another example is also where we have worked in Kisii, which is in Western Kenya, on a similar approach. And yeah, so that's I think how far we've been involved. It's not our main focus, of course, of the work we do, but I think it's something that will become more and more important in our work as well.
Yeah, great. Great to see all the different perspectives. If you don't mind, I would like to swing around a little bit and touch upon a different topic, since we all know that the waste management supply chain has various challenges, which also means, I think, thinking as an entrepreneur, challenges means always opportunity. And that you can establish different initiatives and projects for improvement. One question for you all that you could hopefully offer some interesting and very different perspectives is about the topic of segregation at the source. So we talked about all the different activities, sorting, etc., but we all know the whole value chain of the waste, the reverse logistics, all start at the household level and the consumer level. So what do you think are solutions to see improvements at the source segregation, and how can we maybe reach households, give them incentives, more awareness, education? I think there's several areas of action. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Maybe we haven't heard Alfy for a moment. Maybe you want to share some perspectives on that at first. Can you hear us? Maybe not. We can't hear you. Okay, then it's an open question. Who might want to answer?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much once again for. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, you go. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just thanking you for giving me a chance once again. Yes, I like the direction the conversation is taking, and I'm really happy that the panelists have the in-depth understanding of what we intend to do. And in regards to creating a circular economy in the plastic narrative, I think some of the best practices that have been practiced is what the likes of Nzambi trying to do, and also all the panelists, they have a hand in at least trying to do something, which is really positive. But my special request is this renewed force, renewed energy in terms of mitigating these environmental issues by creating a livelihood out of solid waste, and specifically in terms of how best can we create a livelihood for, I'll talk for young people because I'm a young person, and there's a lot that doesn't meet the eye, and it's not just about the existence of plastics in our street. We have how can we engage these multinationals like Coca-Cola? How can we tell them that, yes, you are producing, but you need also a responsible production or responsible consumption. We need to engage so that whenever you produce, yes, we consume, but both of us should be doing this responsibly. So at least you have once you produce, there's a way that you make sure that whatever you produce out there as a way of getting into a circular economy to an extent that it can be either recycled, reduced, or reused, you see. So without involving these stakeholders, those who really contribute a lot in terms of producing these things, I think we can't go far, because they need also, it's a kind of a moral obligation. Apart from us trying to put the effort, it needs to be a moral obligation, not only on individual based on individual level, but it also need to be on a corporate level. They need to feel the need. I don't understand. Do they have even employees who goes to these streets, to these slums, informal settlements? You see, do they have those employees and report back? I've seen 80% of the drainages clogged by our plastic. Do they have this? I simply don't understand. Do they really, these guys exist, or they are robots working in these companies so that they can come and visit huge chunks of plastic with brand names? See,
Yeah.
you need to have some mechanism of how best can we bring back these things into, so I think a lot can be done, and we are ready for it. Yes.
Yeah, I feel your frustration, and that is definitely a big question. Interesting that you mentioned both fields of responsibility for the consumers as well, and the companies. Because I kind of wanted to start the conversation with the consumer and household segregation. So maybe we stick quickly to that, and then maybe we have the time to touch upon the extended producer responsibility, so getting all the corporates involved as well in the process. I think, Karnika, you were kind of making signs about the household segregation before, or maybe I misinterpreted.
No.
Can I just add something small on household segregation?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Before Karnika picks it. Yeah, segregation of waste at the point of generation, which is the household, I think it's also a major thing to look at, because normally when we generate waste at our household level, most of the time we just put everything there. We put organic waste there, we put metals there, we put, to an extent that even this organic waste cannot be used because it has some electronic substance which has spilled on it. So it gives us, it brings a health challenges. So I think apart from people who are involved in solid waste campaign, I think the consumers also need to be given some kind of knowledge in terms of what they are producing, because they need to be given some basic, not that they don't know, they know but they assume, but they need to be told that this is a real issue, this thing is happening, you need to segregate this at a point so that you put the electronic waste aside, organic waste aside. So transiting to the next level, because let me just mention something here about the Mr. Green. We once approached the Mr. Green about the PET bottles. Do you know what they told us? They only want clean bottles. They don't want those ones picked in the trenches. You see?
And then the question is, what is the reality?
So in the informal settlement, yeah. So if you go to the informal settlement, it will be very difficult to get clean bottles. You see, probably you'll walk the whole day to get 2 kgs of clean bottle, and it will fetch you like 12 shillings. Where will 12 shillings the entire day take you to? This is the narrative that has made the young people to the plastic thing to lose meaning, because there's a lot of work involved, but all is not lost. From the point of generation, that is the household, we need to have a custom-made information specifically meant for them. Some of these people know, but they assume. And also the major thing that can be done on the point of the generation, that is the household, is the enforcement. The authority needs to take action. There's no way you are selling, you have a shop here. In front of your shop, there's a huge heap of solid waste, plastic there, metal. It's more, I go back to the moral responsibility. Then authority can enforce some of these regulations, you see, because people have been made to believe that the solid waste responsibility is the government responsibility. It's not their responsibility. Because yes, even if they want it to be their responsibility, they can put more energy on their side, but the government side has got no energy, because just a few meters to the chief's camp, you'll get a heap, you see, of illegal dump. So some of these things, you can just go to the shop, you are an officer, you have a crown, you tell them, from today onwards, in front of your shop must be clean. And if you don't do that, we'll take action against you. That perception, and even that can even lead to perception.
Thank you.
But,
definitely valid points. Karnika, did you want to add more?
Yeah, let me just quickly come in. Like, not on the, since we have already established the need, which Alfy has explained. So all of us agree that there is a need for the segregation at the household level. So maybe I'll just talk briefly about in terms of the solutions. So basically, if you look, there are a lot of countries which are adopting the practices, and those practices can actually be those can be used as a benchmark and can be used in Kenya and East Africa as well. I'll just give you an example from South Korea. So South Korea, as a country, they have a regulation that every household can only produce X kilos of food waste in a month. And when they dispose it off, the food waste is actually measured and monitored on a daily basis. And if that food waste, the amount of waste that they are producing goes above that allocated as per the size of the family, then they have to pay a fine for it. So there are solutions like that. A lot of countries similar to Kenya or East Africa, so for developing countries or emerging countries like India, I'll just give another example from India. So while it is not institutionalized at the regulatory or the government level, but a lot of housing societies particularly have started promoting this concept of segregation of the waste, and they have within the societies, they have made it mandatory that all the waste have to be segregated. So the initiatives can start at similar to South Korea at the government or the regulation level, but the initiatives can also start at the household and the society and the residential complexes level as well. So there will be both carrot and stick situation. So the carrot can be if you remain under the limit that is allocated to you, you can get some bonus points and stuff like that. And then the stick can be, if not, then there can be fine. So while there is a need for awareness creation, a lot of need for awareness creation, behavioral change on that, but at the same time, the regulation at the government or at the township levels, at the residential complex levels can be brought.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I think just as a quick housekeeping issue, I think we're running out of time to cover more on the EPR topic. I would like to move ahead with some questions from the audience because they're coming at us. You might see that sometimes I'm a bit distracted because there are also other things happening here. So I have one great question from the audience that is probably directed towards Nele. And that is, how do you think improving the standard of living can be synchronized with protecting the environment? What are your thoughts on that? Good.
Well, it's very simple. If we talk on large amounts of people all over the world, let's say 2 to 3 billion people who are living in conditions that are without access to basic services, which are waste collection, which are adequate water, adequate sanitation, also adequate like transport and similar. I think if we talk about these people, which are the majority, and we talk about enhancing living conditions for them, we definitely do something for the environment. Because as we just heard, what Alfy was very like with images is describing very good to us is that solid waste is a very real problem in many settlements. At the moment we increase the access to basic services, to solid waste collection, to water and sanitation, we directly impact the environment in those settlements and in the surrounding areas very positively, because at that moment we will directly emphasize, like, yeah, we will just catch a lot of pollution that is right now going directly into the environment and just avoid that from happening. So I think it's very much connected. Of course, we can talk about that the more we enhance our living conditions, we will generate more waste, we will generate more wastewater, which in turn have to be treated. Those are things that also need to be talked about, but those are all higher problems. Those are not the majority of people on this world that are having those problems. So I think it's very critical that we look at improving basic services, improving the living conditions of people, and in this turn are able to also improve the environment, or like the environmental protection.
Thank you. If anyone else wants to add something to it, you're welcome. And otherwise, I have a few more very interesting questions from the audience. No? Okay, then we have a question for Nzambi. Specifically, I guess your story is very inspiring and inspiring the audience. So what are your plans for the next 2 years for Gjenge makers?
So that's a very, like, I like that question because it makes me think, not just as a KPI based, but also as impact based. So for us as a company, of course, the first one will be to, as stated earlier, to expand our operations and our production, market access to other parts of Kenya to start with. The second aspect is you've gotten a lot of interest from different parts of Africa in terms of either licensing the technology or finding ways on how to share the information and the experience we've learned to them, so that they can be able to replicate and solve the plastic waste pollution. As we all know, it's not just a Kenya problem, but a worldwide problem. So that will be the first two aspects we'll be working on. And also another thing is we'll also be looking to diversify, as stated earlier, our product portfolio. Essentially, that will mean looking at the building space and seeing what more we can do that we can convert, not just plastic waste, but different waste. We want to diversify to different wastes to impact directly in the housing space. So that will be the first one, to increase our market, to see if we can license the technology to other parts of Africa, and also diversify for them.
Thank you. Very ambitious and great goals. Alfy, I don't know if you're with us because the screen kind of froze. Yeah, he dropped out. Then I have another question for Karnika, and that is probably our last question before we wrap up. So from your experience, is there an investment scenery ripe for such green businesses to emerge in East Africa? Is it more about ensuring international donor financing for the startups? Question mark.
Yeah, so I guess since the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem, the local financial ecosystem or the traditional financial ecosystem in East Africa is not very, I'll say, does not provide capital or invest largely into these innovative solutions, because they don't have the experience and the know-hows to experiment and test, and they don't understand, like in terms of most of the lending is cash flow basis and stuff. They are not able to. So definitely the international donors and the funders play a very critical role there, because these solutions also need to be tested. It's not that every solution could be scaled up. So there needs to be some funding provided to these innovative solutions so that they can develop a proof of concept, they can test their solutions, and then ultimately scale their solutions. So the donor and the funders can play a role there, but at the same time, another potential financiers that can play a critical role is the angel investors. So angel investing concept is again very nascent in East Africa, but that angel investing across Europe, across Asia, and across US has led to the development of many innovative solutions, and then the companies have been able to convert into billion-trillion-dollar companies through one of the initial fundings from angel investments. And since there is HNIs, the number of HNIs in the region are increasing, they can also play a critical role in providing this early angel investments to these innovative solutions.
Thank you. Very insightful. And I guess, yeah, that's probably our closing moment. I would like to thank all of you that you participated. We touched upon so many important, critical, exciting, and also very solution-oriented topics. And time is never enough to finish the conversation. I would like to thank you in the name of the Yunus Environment Hub. And yeah, I guess what would be nice if we take a selfie, the famous video selfie. Maybe you wave in the camera if you want. That was a really nice conversation and really engaging. And yeah, I wish you all the best, and I hope we are all going to stay in touch. And feel free to keep the conversation up. And we wish you a very good rest of the year, end of the year, not for everyone, but in our European way. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. Thanks to the audience and for all the questions. We couldn't answer all of them, but yeah, to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.